Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another class here for the Introduction to Entrepreneurship. Today we're going to talk about market research. And market research is about learning before you build. So many people think that entrepreneurship is about having a great idea, but in reality, most failed businesses had ideas that sounded good. What they missed was understanding who the customer really was and whether that customer actually needed or wanted the solution. So market research helps us move from I think this will work to I know why this could work. And when we say understanding your customer, we're talking about learning how people think, what problems they face, and how they currently solve those problems. So customers do not wake up thinking about your product. They wake up thinking about their own lives, stress, time, money, and priorities. So market research helps entrepreneurs step into the customer's world instead of staying inside their own assumptions. In real life, many startups fail because founders build something they personally like. For example, someone may design a very advanced fitness app because they love fitness and technology. But later they discover that most users find it too complex and stop using it. If they had spoken to real users earlier, they would have learned that simplicity mattered more than the features. So in this lecture, we'll focus on learning how to ask the right questions before investing too much time or money. So market research does not mean long academic reports or expensive consultants. It means listening, observing, testing, and learning. So the goal is not perfection, but actually clarity. So the better you understand your customer, the stronger every future decision becomes. So first of all, why market research matters? Market research matters because it reduces risk. So entrepreneurship always involves uncertainty, as we already identified in previous classes. But good entrepreneurs try to reduce unnecessary risk wherever possible. So market research helps you avoid building something that nobody wants. It does not guarantee success, of course, but it significantly lowers the chance of failure caused by wrong assumptions. So without market research, entrepreneurs often rely on intuition alone. Intuition can be useful, but it is also biased by personal experience. And what works for you may not work for others. So market research brings reality into the picture. It forces you to confront facts, patterns, and feedback that may challenge your original idea. A simple real-life example is opening a cafe. So you might think this area needs a cafe. But market research asks deeper questions. So how many people pass by daily? What kind of cafe do they already use? What prices are they comfortable with? At what time of day do they buy coffee? And without these answers, even a good location can fail. So market research also helps with confidence. When entrepreneurs understand their market, they can explain their idea more clearly to partners, investors, or customers. So the decisions feel less stressful because they are based on information and not guesswork. So in short, market research turns uncertainty into informed action. So market research is the structured process of collecting information about customers, competitors, and the market environment. So it helps entrepreneurs understand who they are serving, what problem they are solving, and how their solution fits into the existing market. So it is not about predicting the future perfectly, but about learning enough to make better choices. So at its core, market research answers three key questions. So first of all, who is the customer? Secondly, what problem does the customer have? And thirdly, how is that problem currently being solved? So if you cannot clearly answer these questions, then your business idea is still too vague. And market research includes both talking to people and studying information. So talking to people helps you understand emotions, motivations, and also frustrations. Studying information helps you see patterns, trends, and numbers. So both are important. One gives depth and the other one gives scale. For example, if you want to start an online course, market research might include interviews with potential learners, surveys about pricing preferences, and analysis of existing courses. So you might discover that people are less interested in long courses and prefer short, practical lessons. So that insight directly shapes your product. Talking about guessing. So guessing is when decisions are based on assumptions, personal opinions, or limited experience. So many entrepreneurs say, I would use this, so others will too. And that mindset is actually very risky because you are not the customer, you are the creator. And market research helps separate that personal preference from actual demand. So market research replaces guessing with learning. So instead of assuming what customers want, you ask them. And instead of guessing why a product fails, you investigate. And that shift from guessing to learning is one of the biggest mindset changes that new entrepreneurs must make. A common example that we all know of is pricing. So entrepreneurs often guess prices based on what feels fair to them. But customers may value the product differently. So market research helps you understand what customers are willing to pay and why. And sometimes customers will pay more than expected if the value is clear. And successful entrepreneurs are not the smartest guessers. They're actually the best learners. So they test ideas early, observe reactions, and adjust quickly. Market research supports this learning process and prevents costly mistakes that come from building in isolation. So there are two main types of market research. There is qualitative and quantitative research. Both are valuable, but they do serve different purposes. So understanding the difference helps entrepreneurs choose the right tool at the right time. So qualitative research focuses on understanding why people behave the way that they do. So it explores thoughts, feelings, motivations, and also experiences. And this type of research is especially useful at early stages when you're still shaping your idea and trying to understand the problem deeply. Quantitative research focuses on numbers and measurement. So it helps answer questions like how many people experience a problem, how often it happens, or which option is preferred most. And this type of research is useful when you want to validate ideas or compare alternatives. So imagine you're creating a productivity tool. Then qualitative research might involve some interviews about daily work frustrations. Quantitative research, on the other hand, might involve a survey asking how many hours people lose per week due to distractions. And together, these methods give a fuller picture of the market. So it's, so to say, a mixed method approach. Then talking in more detail about qualitative market research. So this is about understanding why people behave the way that they do. So we focus on thoughts, emotions, motivations, and experiences rather than numbers. So this type of research helps entrepreneurs understand how customers think and feel about a problem or a solution. And it is especially useful at the early stages of a business idea. In qualitative research, entrepreneurs usually speak directly with people. So this can happen through interviews, focus groups, or even informal conversations. The goal is not to get hundreds of answers, but to actually get deep answers. So even speaking to 10 people can reveal patterns if the same problems or frustrations come up again and again from person to person. So again, I want you to imagine that you want to start a meal prep service. So through interviews, you might discover that people are not actually looking for healthy food in general, but for meals that save time after work and require no thinking. So that insight changes how you design and market your service. So qualitative research teaches entrepreneurs to listen very carefully. It requires patience and curiosity, as you know, working with people and listening to people. And instead of trying to convince people that your idea is good, you actually try to understand their reality. So the better you listen, the more valuable your insights become. So you may ask questions, but you may not push your opinion and force your idea on them. You're supposed to get information from them. That's what it means by understanding your customer. So what are good examples of qualitative questions? So of course, good qualitative research depends on asking the right and good questions. So these questions are usually open-ended, meaning that they don't have a simple yes or no answer. So open questions encourage people to explain their experiences in their own words, which often reveals unexpected insights. So examples of questions would include, can you tell me about the last time you experienced this problem? Or what frustrates you most about your current situation? So these questions help people describe real situations that they have been in instead of giving abstract opinions. So again, if you are developing a budgeting app, you could ask, do you like budgeting? And that wouldn't be very useful. So instead, you could ask, how do you currently manage your money? Or what makes budgeting difficult for you? And this will give you much richer answers that point to real needs. And the goal of these questions is not to hear compliments about your idea. So again, it's not about you, but it's about the potential customer. So the goal is to uncover problems, frustrations, and unmet needs. So entrepreneurs who learn to ask good questions gain a powerful advantage because they build solutions based on reality, not assumptions. And now talking about quantitative market research. So this one focuses on numbers and measurable data. So it helps entrepreneurs understand how common a problem is, how strong a preference might be, or how large a potential market could be. So this type of research is useful when you want to validate ideas at a broader scale. So quantitative research often uses surveys, polls, or existing data sources. So instead of long conversations, you collect short answers from many people. And the strength of this method is that it shows patterns and trends that are not visible from just a few interviews. So, for example, after interviewing users about the fitness app, you might run a survey asking how often people exercise per week or how much they would pay for a subscription. So the numbers help you see whether your idea is relevant to a small niche or a larger group. And quantitative research does not replace qualitative research. That's something to remember. So it actually complements it. The numbers tell you what is happening, but not always why. So successful entrepreneurs often start with qualitative insights and then use the quantitative number data to confirm and refine their ideas. So here again, some examples of quantitative questions. So quantitative questions are designed to be clear, specific, and easy to answer. So they usually offer fixed options, such as multiple choice or maybe rating scales. And that makes it easier to compare answers and identify trends across many respondents. So here, again, examples. How often do you experience this problem? Or which option do you prefer? Or how much would you be willing to pay? So such questions help entrepreneurs make decisions based on measurable evidence. So for instance, if you are launching an online course, you might ask how many hours per week people are willing to study or which price range feels acceptable. And the results help you design a product that fits real expectations instead of personal guesses. So well-designed quantitative questions are simple and neutral. So they avoid emotional or leading language. The goal is accuracy and not persuasion. So again, it's not about you, but it's about the potential customer. So when used correctly, then quantitative research gives entrepreneurs confidence in their strategic choices. So now if we take the two and look at them against each other, they actually serve very different purposes. But both, as I said, are essential. So qualitative research provides the depth and understanding, while quantitative research provides scale and confirmation. So knowing when to use each is an important entrepreneurial skill, just as it is in research. So at early stages, qualitative research is often more valuable. So when your ideas are still forming, entrepreneurs need insight into customer problems and motivations. So talking directly to people helps clarify whether a problem is worth solving at all. And as the idea becomes clearer, then quantitative research becomes more useful. So it helps entrepreneurs test assumptions, compare options, and also estimate demand. So numbers help answer questions like, is this big enough? Or which option works best? And successful entrepreneurs do not argue about which method is better. So as I said, both are complement each other. So they use both strategically. They usually listen first, measure second, and of course, adjust continuously. So this balanced approach leads to smarter decisions and I would say stronger business foundations. And talking about primary versus secondary research, you might have heard of these terms in some sense. So market research data can come from two main sources, primary research and secondary research. And understanding the difference helps entrepreneurs choose the right approach depending on time, budget, and also the stage of the business. And most successful entrepreneurs use a combination of both. So primary research, as the name suggests, is the data that you collect yourself. So this will include the interviews, the surveys, the observations, and the tests with the real users. And the advantage, of course, of primary research is that it is specific to your idea and your target customer. So you had an idea and you went out there yourself to collect data and insights about that particular idea that was yours. So you ask exactly the questions that you need answers to. On the other hand, secondary research is data that already exists. So this will include industry reports, government statistics, academic studies, and market analyses published by others. So yes, secondary research is usually faster and cheaper, but it may not fully match your exact business idea because maybe you have a very specific idea that, you can go out there and get the answers to through primary research because you ask specific questions that you want answers to. And secondary research cannot provide you those answers. So that's the one thing that you need to consider when you are choosing which type or which one you're doing first. So if you want to start an online tutoring service, then secondary research can show trends in online education growth. And primary research would involve talking to students or their parents to understand their exact needs, schedules, and also willingness to pay. So as you can see, together both types give a clearer picture. And a lot of times entrepreneurs start with secondary research. As I say, they identify certain trends, maybe some patterns from that secondary research, but then they still utilize primary research. They go out there and they collect responses and data themselves for their specific idea. So this is why primary research is still important and I would say much more powerful than secondary research. So looking at some examples of primary research. So as we identified, this involves direct interaction with potential customers. So this can take many forms, from structured surveys to also informal conversations. So the key feature is that you are collecting information firsthand. So you're doing it yourself rather than relying on any existing sources. So common examples of primary research include customer interviews, online questionnaires, usability testing, and also pilot programs. So even small scale efforts, like maybe talking to 5 potential users, can reveal valuable insights already at an early stage. So someone planning to launch a freelance platform might interview freelancers about their biggest challenges. So they might discover that payment delays are a bigger pain point than finding clients. And that insight could shape the entire platform design. But without going out there and asking that yourself in those potential freelancers who will be using your platform, you can't find that out. So you can't find it through secondary research. So you need to go and ask those specific questions that you want answers to. And of course, it's important to remember that primary research takes a lot of effort. It doesn't involve just going out there and asking the questions. It involves careful planning what questions you will ask, when you will ask them, how will you reach those potential customers and participants for your interviews or anything else, and whether those people will want to help you. So sometimes you might need to offer some incentives for them to even engage with you. However, it does build strong foundations. So it helps entrepreneurs avoid building solutions in isolation. And more importantly, it also creates early connections with potential customers who may then later become first users or advocates. So think about those advantages. Think about going out there and reaching those few people. They might stay connected to you and to your product for much longer than just, that primary research that you were doing at some point in time. And now looking at secondary research examples. So secondary research uses information that has already been collected by others, as we identified. So this will include any industry reports, market analyses, government data, academic research, and also competitor websites. So it helps entrepreneurs understand the broader context of their market. So as I said, you can identify certain trends, patterns, but it won't be specific to your idea. So it's actually a broader or wider picture. One advantage of secondary research compared to primary research is the speed. So instead of starting from zero, entrepreneurs can learn quickly about market size, trends, and also common challenges. So this is especially helpful in early exploration stages. So as I said, a lot of times you will start with secondary research and only then move into primary. Because maybe secondary research can show you if the general idea, if it can even be valid at all. Maybe there's no trend that you wanted, right? So this is things that you can identify through secondary before even wasting time and resources then on primary research. So if someone is interested in launching a sustainability-focused product, they might use reports on consumer environmental awareness or regulations. And that helps assess whether the market is growing and what constraints may exist. So as I said, it kind of even identifies if there is a point of taking your idea to the next stage. However, secondary research, of course, has its limits. So it may be outdated. As you know, things are so speedy these days. I mean, technology is evolving. Findings are, especially in academic research, I know at first hand that a lot of things that get published and get into the academic literature, by the time that they are published, they are already outdated because the publication process takes so long. Then also, they may be too general or also not fully relevant to a specific niche. So that is why it works best when it's combined with primary research, which then adds the depth and actual relevance in the real world in your potential customer. So another part, what we want to discuss today is understanding your customer. So this means clearly knowing who you are building for. So many beginner entrepreneurs describe their customer too broadly. So they would say things like everyone or anyone who needs this. So that is a lack of focus, which often leads to weak products and unclear marketing. So a customer is not defined only by age or gender. So customers are defined by problems, behaviors, and motivations. So two people of the same age may want completely different solutions depending on their lifestyle and priorities. And there are other things that come in, other factors as well. We can talk about culture, We can talk about religion. Those are other things that could impact this as well. So if we again look at a productivity app for, let's say, university students, it will look very different from one designed for, let's say, working parents. So even though both groups want to be more productive, their daily challenges and expectations are not the same. So working parents have very different challenges, very different things that they want than university students. They also have different schedule. So we cannot say that though both of these groups want to be more productive, that therefore they would same things in the app would work for them. And when entrepreneurs understand their customer clearly, then decisions become easier. So product features, pricing, communication style, and also marketing channels, they all become more focused. And understanding the customer is not a one-time task, but it's an ongoing learning process. And here I still want to also add something from personal experience. So you've probably heard of things like paid ads that are happening now through Meta, especially through Facebook. And if you want to advertise something through paid ads, you can clearly select who your target audience is, from geographical location to age group to gender and all those things. The better you know and understand your customer, the more likely such ads will be successful. If you enter those details too vaguely or you're not entirely sure, then you will reach audiences that are completely, I would say, useless to you because you might have caught their attention through the ad, but they will not go through or, take your service or your product. So this is something why understanding your customer also is so important. And now two terms, so target market and target customer. So the target market is the broader group of people who could potentially be interested in your product or service. But the target customer is a more specific person within that group. And if you confuse these two concepts, then that can often lead to unclear business strategies. So for example, the target market for a language learning app could be people who want to learn a new language. But the target customer could be working professionals aged 25 to 40 who want to learn a language for career advancement. So notice the specificity, the amount of detail, how different it is for the target market and the target customer. And focusing on a specific target customer helps entrepreneurs create more relevant solutions. So it allows clearer messaging, better design choices, and also more effective marketing. So trying to please everyone usually means pleasing no one. And successful businesses often start with a narrow target customer and then expand later. So the focus actually helps them build strong value and reputation before they start scaling. So it's kind of clarity first and then growth later. And that is the core of entrepreneurial logic. Now talking about customer segmentation. This means dividing a broad market into smaller groups based on shared characteristics. So instead of treating all customers the same, entrepreneurs group people who behave similarly or have similar needs. And this makes it easier to design solutions that actually fit. So segmentation can be based on many factors. It can be based on age, income, location, lifestyle, or behavior. And the goal is not to create complicated categories, but to understand meaningful differences between customer groups. So different segments often value different things. So for example, let's take a travel service. It may serve both students and professionals. So students may care most about low price and flexibility, but professionals may care more about comfort and time-saving options. So treating them as one group would weaken the offering. So they like different things, even when they want the same product or service. So that's what we need to consider, that there is still segments and categories within those customers. And customer segmentation helps entrepreneurs focus limited resources. So instead of spreading effort too widely, they can actually target the segment that benefits most from their solution. So this focus actually increases clarity, efficiency, and also chances of early success. And there is also behavioral segmentation. And this focuses on what people do, not just who they are. So it looks at actions such as purchasing habits, frequency of use, brand loyalty, and decision-making behavior. So this type of segmentation is often more useful than demographics alone. And two people of the same age and income can behave very differently as customers. You probably know this, if you think about somebody who maybe is a colleague or a friend who is the same age, you have very different preferences, very different needs. And then through that, you behave differently when it comes to a certain product or service. So for example, one may buy frequently and value convenience, but the other one buys rarely and values price. So behavioral segmentation captures those differences more accurately. So for example, if you have a subscription-based service, then some users log in daily, while others maybe sign up and just forget about it. And understanding those behaviors helps entrepreneurs improve engagement, retention, and also communication strategies. And entrepreneurs who understand customer behavior can design better experiences. So they can identify what triggers buying decisions, what causes drop-off, and what keeps customers loyal. So behavior reveals needs more clearly than labels. And you might have heard of this term, customer persona. It is a fictional but realistic representation of an ideal customer. So it combines research insights into a single profile that represents a typical user. So personas help entrepreneurs keep the customer in mind when making decisions. So persona usually includes a name, background, goals, challenges, and behaviors. So giving the persona a human identity makes customer needs easier to remember and understand. So it turns abstract data into a relatable character. So for example, instead of saying our target customer is busy professionals, a persona might be somebody named Anna, a 35-year-old marketing manager who works long hours and wants simple solutions to save time. So that clarity guides product and marketing choices. And personas are not guesses or stereotypes. They're actually built from research, from interviews, and from observations. And when done well, then personas help teams stay aligned and customer focused as the business grows. And why are these personas powerful? Well, they're powerful because they keep the customer at the center of every decision. So instead of debating options within a team, entrepreneurs can ask, would this work for our persona? So that shifts focus from internal preferences to actual customer needs. So personas help with product design, with communication, and of course also with marketing. So they influence tone, features, pricing, and even which platforms to use. So when everyone understands the persona, decisions become faster and more consistent. For example, if your persona is a non-technical user, then you will prioritize simplicity over advanced features. And if your persona values trust, then you will focus on testimonials and transparency rather than flashy design. And without personas, businesses often drift away from their original customer focus. So personas act as an anchor, reminding entrepreneurs who they are serving and why. So they're especially valuable in early stage startups with limited resources. And now I want to talk about a basic customer persona elements. So a basic customer persona includes essential information that helps understand how and why the customer behaves. So this typically includes age, occupation, daily routine, goals, and also key challenges. So these elements provide context for decision making. Personas also highlight pain points and motivations. So pain points describe what frustrates the customer, while motivations explain what drives their decisions. And together, these elements reveal where value can be created. For example, a persona for an online learning platform might show that the user struggles with time management, but is highly motivated by career advancement. So that insight shapes both content design and marketing messages. And personas do not need to be complex to be effective. So even a simple one-page persona can significantly improve clarity. And the most important thing is that the persona reflects real research and is used actively, not just stored and forgotten. So it actually serves in the center for your business. And I mentioned this term already. So customer pain points. These are actually specific problems, frustrations, or inconveniences that customers experience in their daily lives. So these are not small preferences, but issues that cause stress, waste time, cost money, or also create discomfort. And strong businesses are built by solving real pain points, not by adding unnecessary features. So let me give you a real life example. Most of you have probably heard of Starbucks. So Starbucks realized that people don't like standing in line and wasting time. So they implemented a service where you can order what you want from Starbucks on the phone and it tells you what time you should go and pick it up. And then you don't need to wait in line. So this is just one customer pain point, which was the waiting time and standing in line that drove them to solve that problem for that customer. And many entrepreneurs fall in love with solutions before fully understanding the problem. So market research helps reverse that process. So instead of asking, do you like my idea? Entrepreneurs ask, what is difficult or frustrating for you right now? So they're focusing on those customer pain points. And those pain points are what reveal where value truly exists. So if people say that they want a better banking app, then deeper research may show that their real pain point is confusing fees or maybe slow customer support. So solving the real pain point creates more impact than just improving surface level features. And understanding pain points requires empathy. So entrepreneurs must see the problem from the customer's perspective and not their own. So we know from personal experience, if somebody expresses frustration, maybe with something that we think is working well, then we can get a little bit defensive or personal about it. But no, a successful entrepreneur will step into the shoes of the customer and see it from the customer's perspective, not from their own. So when you clearly understand what is hurting the customer, then designing a valuable solution becomes much easier. And customer pain points can be grouped into different types. So one common type is financial pain points, where customers feel that something is too expensive or not worth the cost. Then price sensitivity, often, it reflects unclear value and not just the lack of money. Then another type is time-related pain points. So these occur when processes are slow, inefficient, or also inconvenient. So many modern businesses succeed simply by saving customers time or mental effort, even if the product itself is very simple. Further, we have emotional pain points, which involve stress, confusion, or anxiety. So for example, customers may feel overwhelmed by too many choices or maybe unclear instructions. So reducing emotional friction can be a powerful competitive advantage. And process-related pain points. Those occur when systems are complicated or outdated. So think of long forms, unclear steps, or maybe poor communication. So entrepreneurs who simplify processes often win customer loyalty very quickly. And now you may ask, how do we discover these pain points? Actually, it requires very careful listening and observation. So we come back to the part where as entrepreneurs, we need to listen more than talk. So entrepreneurs should encourage customers to talk freely about their experiences. So the most valuable insights often come from stories and not direct answers to structured questions. So we want to make our customer talk and actually tell a story rather than just answer a question that we structured and has a certain answer coming with it already. So one effective approach is asking customers to describe a recent situation where they faced a problem. Maybe what happened or what did you find frustrating? Such questions help reveal real pain points instead of any abstract opinions. So instead of asking, is this service annoying? You can instead say, can you walk me through the last time you used the service? And that will reveal where the friction, delays, or confusion actually occurred. So entrepreneurs should pay attention to repeated complaints and emotional reactions. When many people express the same frustration, it signals a strong opportunity, the pattern. And pain points are these patterns, and they're not isolated comments. So always ask clear, open-ended questions without asking them to provide some abstract opinion, but actually that they can tell the story and walk you through the process so you can identify where is the problem, where is the pain point. And what's also important to remember here is that all of this requires careful planning. So you have to think how to ask the question the right way so that you're not leading the customer to answer what you want to hear. So you actually lead to them discovering these pain points. And further, we have competitor analysis. So this is the process of understanding who else is solving the same problem and how are they doing it. One thing that people often misconceive is that competition is a bad sign. That's not necessarily true. It just usually means that there is real demand. So the goal is not to avoid competitors, but to learn from them. So competitors show what already works and what does not. So by studying their product, pricing, messaging, and customer feedback, entrepreneurs gain valuable insights without starting from zero. So competitors are an indirect form of market research, so to say. So if you look at somebody with a competing product and you read their customer reviews, then it often reveals unmet needs. So complaints usually highlight weaknesses, and praise shows what customers truly value. And both of those can be useful to you. So what is a weakness for your competitor, you can improve that. And what is a strength, you can use that as well. So that's why both would be useful. And competitor analysis helps entrepreneurs position themselves very clearly. So it answers the question, why should a customer choose me instead? And without that clarity, differentiation becomes weak or unclear. So you need to make sure that a customer should want to choose you instead of your competitor. And that can only be understood through competitor analysis. And since we're talking about competitors, then we also should talk about different types of competitors. And all of them actually matter. So we have direct competitors, which offer similar solutions to the same problem. So these are usually the easiest to identify and compare. Then we have indirect competitors, which solve the same problem in a different way. So for example, a meal delivery service competes indirectly with home cooking or takeaway food. And these alternatives still compete for the customer's time and money. And another important competitor is the do nothing option. So many customers prefer to tolerate a problem rather than change habits. So entrepreneurs must understand why customers might choose not to act at all. And recognizing all types of competitors helps entrepreneurs think realistically. So success depends not only on being better than others, but on being better enough to motivate change. And if we are analyzing competitors, then we have to look beyond the surface. So it is not enough to know who competitors are, but it's important to understand how they operate and why customers choose them. So this analysis helps identify both strengths to learn from and also weaknesses to improve upon. So key aspects that we would analyze would include pricing, value proposition, features, customer experience, and also communication style. So entrepreneurs should also observe how competitors position themselves and what promises they make to customers. So for example, two similar services may have very different pricing models. So one might focus on low price and volume, and the other might focus on premium quality and personalization. So understanding that helps entrepreneurs decide where they want to position their own business, kind of pinpoint it. And customer reviews are especially valuable. So reviews reveal real user experiences and common complaints. And by analyzing patterns in that feedback, entrepreneurs can identify gaps that competitors are not addressing well. For example, if you want to open a hotel, you may go and do this research, competitor analysis on other hotels, read their reviews, and see what did the people not like. Maybe they didn't like that check-in is taking too long at the reception. So maybe you can automate that with some technology. Maybe they didn't like if the bed sheets were a certain color, then you can use a different color. So these are all things that you learn from your competitors. And competitive advantage is what makes your business stand out from alternatives. So it answers the customer's question, why should I choose this instead of something else? And without a clear advantage, customers have little reason to switch. So competitive advantage does not have to be dramatic or revolutionary. It can actually be something small but meaningful, such as maybe better customer service, faster delivery, clearer communication, or a more user-friendly design. So for example, many successful small businesses compete with larger companies by offering more personal attention. So a local service provider may not be cheaper, but customers do value trust, reliability, and of course, human interaction. And competitive advantage comes from understanding customers deeply. So when entrepreneurs align their strengths with real customer needs, then they create value that competitors struggle to copy. And I really like that example that I gave you, large companies versus smaller ones, because from personal experience, I also like to choose where I can get more personal attention and this human interaction. So for example, instead of maybe staying at a hotel when I travel, which is a part of a large hotel chain, I would choose to stay in a smaller family-run hotel because I feel like there's more human interaction, there's more personal attention. Seems like even the service is better. So these are things that you can consider. So you can be small, start small, but that doesn't mean that somebody larger than you will be the winner. So you can also use that and understand your customer deeply and then align with the customer's needs. And we brought this up in our previous classes, but every business idea starts with assumptions. So entrepreneurs assume customers want the solution, that they will pay for it, and that they will use it in a certain way. So these assumptions are not facts until they are actually tested. So validation is the process of testing these assumptions with real customers. So instead of investing heavily upfront, entrepreneurs run small experiments to see how people respond. And this approach reduces risk and also saves resources. So for example, before building a full app, an entrepreneur might create a simple landing page explaining the idea and see how many people sign up. And that provides early evidence of interest without major investment. So validation is about learning again, and not proving yourself right. So negative feedback is not failure, but it's information, and that's how we must treat it. So entrepreneurs who validate early, adapt faster, and also build stronger businesses. And looking at validation methods, there are many simple ways to validate business ideas without needing any large budgets. So these methods focus on real behavior, not just opinions. So what people do is often more revealing than what they say. So examples include short surveys, informal interviews, pre-orders, pilot offers, or test campaigns. So even offering a service manually before automating it can provide valuable learning. So for instance, someone planning a cleaning service might first offer services personally to a few clients. And that helps test the demand, the pricing, and expectations before they scale or hire additional staff. And the goal of validation is speed and clarity. So entrepreneurs should test one key assumption at a time and adjust quickly based on feedback. So learning early is actually cheaper than fixing mistakes later. And one common mistake is only asking friends and family for feedback. So I see people do that, especially in startups. But while supportive, your family and friends, they are often biased and they're not representative of real customers. So honest feedback usually comes from people who are not emotionally invested. Another mistake is asking leading questions that push people towards positive answers. Questions should instead be neutral and open, allowing customers to express genuine opinions and concerns. And some entrepreneurs ignore negative feedback because it feels discouraging. But in reality, criticism often points to the most valuable improvements, and avoiding it actually delays learning. And finally, of course, overanalyzing data without taking action can slow progress. So market research should support decisions and not replace them. So the purpose is to move forward with better understanding and not to wait forever. So as we're coming towards the end of the class, I have some key takeaways from today. So market research is one of the most important foundations of entrepreneurship. Please remember that. So it helps reduce risk, clarify decisions, and also prevent costly mistakes. So entrepreneurs do not fail because they lack ideas. They fail because they misunderstand customers. And market research helps bridge that gap. And a key takeaway is that customers define value, not entrepreneurs. So what seems exciting or innovative to a founder, to you, may not matter to a customer. So by listening carefully and validating assumptions, entrepreneurs learn what truly solves a problem. And another important lesson is that market research does not need to be perfect or expensive. So simple interviews, small surveys, and basic observations can already provide strong insights. So the goal is learning and not academic perfection. And finally, of course, market research is not a one-time task. So markets change, customers evolve, and assumptions must be revisited. So entrepreneurs who continuously learn from their customers stay relevant and adaptable over time. So market research and understanding your customer is not just something you will do as you are starting a business, as you're, kind of came up with your ideas. It's something that you're going to do over time, either way. And you need to remain aware of your competitors. This is a process. It doesn't happen just at one point in time. And with that, we're at the end of the class because I wanted to leave some time for questions as well. So I think that today we've focused on learning before building, and understanding customers, competitors, and markets gives us clarity and confidence. So it shifts entrepreneurship from guessing to actual informed actions. So I want you to also reflect on your own ideas and assumptions. And I think that everything that we covered today can serve as a starting point of every, strong venture. And thank you again for your attention. And now I will leave some time for questions.
Excellent. Excellent, Dr. Paula Obola.
Thank you.
Let's see. Do we have any questions? You can raise your hand. Daniel, are you raising your hand? Let me see. Let me see if that was you, Daniel. Do you have a question?
Yes. Like you asked me, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Professor. Good morning, Doctor. Thank you. I have to say thank you to Dr. Paula for
Thank you.
for her presentation. For and then I was late though I couldn't reach the class this morning. I don't know because I was online. It will take me almost 20 or 25 minutes to reach the class. I don't know what happened this morning, but I was online. Okay, I don't know like if I can I can get the course or I have to ask my advisor or my advisor for this course, the course for today. Or I don't know if I can where I can go online to get it.
We recorded the course, so you can find it on the AIU YouTube page or in your student section.
Okay.
So yeah, I deactivated the waiting room, so students should have come in. I don't know what happened. So, but yeah, you can find the recording on your student portal in the quick menu under AIU Live Classroom.
Okay.
And then Dr. Paula just put the presentation into chat, so you can download it from there. And Dr. Paula, can you actually put your email in case there's questions about this later?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is a very important course. So if you missed part of the course of the class today, come back, find the recording, and with questions, email it to Dr. Paula to really get this, because the class was so good. What I see is that you're getting the students to focus in correctly on their customers, so that they're not just thinking about their own thoughts and opinions or family, but really tuning in and focusing in on the customer.
Yeah, that's one of the most important parts, right? So when we develop a product or service, the customer comes first. We always say the customer comes first, and that's for a reason. You're not building it for yourself. If you were, then you wouldn't be selling it. So
Okay, there must be a lot of questions out there on how to really understand how to do market research. Do you have questions?
I think I've been overflowing them with information lately. There's not so many questions.
Are you sure there's no questions, comments? Well, I suggest, can you just talk about just a second about how to identify your customer? And then we'll go to Che.
Yeah, so I think that we talked about this also in the previous class, that we, as entrepreneurs, when we want to bring a product or a service, we look for what frustrates us and others around us in daily life. So if you look at the frustrations of certain customers, you see repeated patterns, you see trends, what people are struggling with, what frustrates them, and you want to improve that with a product or a service. And that's the number one way how you will pinpoint your customer group. And from there, you can learn all the other things as we did today. You can learn the pain points and you can build that customer persona.
Okay, let's go to Che.
All right. Good afternoon, doctor.
Good
Hi.
afternoon.
Yeah, thank you so much for the class. The lecture was quite good. Yeah, in marketing, we say that a customer is king, and customer satisfaction is our basic fundamental, because the moment customers are satisfied, the marketer can actually succeed, because it's only when you're able to understand the problems that customers are facing and able to solve the problems, that is when you can be able to make it or succeed in marketing. So what are some of the common questions that customers usually ask? What
Okay.
are some of the basic questions that customers usually ask?
Yeah. So I think the main one, what I also said, especially if we are in this competing world, is that the customer will always have the question, why should I choose you over somebody else? And this is where everything that we spoke about today comes in, why you need to show that you have something more special to offer. So that will be the number one thing that customers will ask. Customers will also always want to, know details of certain things. So what did other people say about you? This is also why that other customer and feedback is important, why reviews are important. Yeah, what others experience with you, what your personal motivations are. Sometimes, we choose certain products or services not just because of the product and service itself, but even the idea behind like the motto of you and your company, right? So you need to build all of that in order to build your customers' trust.
Okay, for example, let's assume that you are a marketer and you've just come up with a prototype product and you're about to test that product in the market to know if it's actually going to solve customers' problems or fill their needs or not. What are some of the questions that you can ask, to understand the customer's needs?
Mm-hmm. So first of all, to understand what a customer is frustrated with, so you would ask them to explain a certain process, how it happens to them right now. And that way you would identify those pain points that you can then target with your product or service. So that would be the biggest one. And then if you want to identify certain things about each pain point, then you would ask about that. So if there was something about long waiting times, then you would address that more specifically. You would ask, what were the exact details of why you were frustrated with waiting time. So maybe they just don't want to stand in line, or maybe there are other things. So those are all very specific questions that you need to have a specific business idea for in order to develop those questions. So I wouldn't say that you can make like a broader general question. You would need to actually, identify already an idea in order to ask specific questions.
Okay, thank you so much. I think because of time constraint, we can stop here for now.
Yes, thank you. We have one question from Sullivan. Wants to speak. Let me see if I can find. This will probably be the last. I'm looking to see how to unmute you. Do you have your? I don't have an option here to unmute you. Let me see. Where are you? Okay, we'll go to Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation and how was the explanation. My question is related to sometimes the market needs to understand how the behavior of the customer may be under our competition. Sometimes the competition have the strong and you are new in the market. In this case, when you are entering the market, there's some factors to at least focus the good strategy that allows you, the new traders or maybe new or business owners can enter the market. Sometimes the market have the strong the competition to others. Can I get some strategy so to at least understand how we can enter the market easily?
Yeah, very good question. So I think that the first thing to consider, what I also mentioned during my class about the competitors, is that you can always offer something better. And think about what people like these days. Like I told you my example. So I like more personalized attention. So even I see a lot of people these days choosing smaller businesses over larger ones because they get like a personalized experience. They get more human interaction. So that's the one thing you can consider, because now with all the growing technology and the online environment, it's very important that people get more the human experience and much more personal level. So they feel like treated and kind of like, like a baby. So I think that's the one thing how you can show yourself in, a competitor world. And you can, of course, use different strategies for that. So you can also on your marketing, I mean, in social media, you can present that way that, you are doing much more hand-holding with your customers than maybe other larger companies. So I think that all in all is my biggest comment here.
Okay, thank you so much, Muhammad Ali. We want to
Yeah.
go to Sullivan. Can you activate your microphone? I can't see you, but do you see can you activate your microphone? Where are you?
I see that they put the question in the chat though.
Yeah.
Can you explain how to identify your competitors? So yeah, again, a good question. So first of all, I think the best way to identify competitors is also to look at that customer. So you find and you know what your customers will be, because that's how you have your business idea. You know certain frustrations, you know those people who need a certain product or service. So through them, you can see what they're using already. Those will, of course, be your competitors. And in such way. And now with technology, it's become much easier to identify competitors. So through a simple Google search, you can already find others who are advertising a similar product or service or solution that you want to advertise.
Perfect.
And I
that's
did put my email in the chat in case anybody also has more questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to put my email into chat. So if somehow let me see if I get it down here. There we go. So if somehow you weren't able to get into class on time, go ahead and email me and I will send you the recording directly of the class. I'll send it directly to your email. It's probably going to be so big, I'm going to send it to you through WeTransfer.com. So you'll receive an email with a link to download the video, or I'll send you the link to actually open the video. But if you missed part of the class, email me and I'll get you the video. Okay, Dr. Palobola, any last words?
I guess just thank you again for joining this class, and I'm very glad that we're doing like a series. So I see you more often, and I will be seeing you next week already on the 17th with the next class that I can tell you in a second what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about business models and value propositions.
Oh, everybody, these courses are so valuable. There's so much good information that Dr. Palobola is giving you. This is a series of courses on entrepreneurship, basically starting your own business. And so there's going to be a series of 10 classes in this course, right?
Yeah. Today was the third.
Today was the third. So you can go back into your student portals and look at the past classes to see what she's been teaching. And then you can also see there's going to be 7 more courses. So you're going to be fully trained on how to start your own business. And this is really, really important to everybody. Okay, that will do it. Any more questions? You have my email. You have Dr. Palobola's email. We're good to go. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to allow you to unmute your microphones so that you can say thank you and bye.
Thank you very much, Paula.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Look forward to
Thank
seeing
you.
you next week, Dr. Palobola.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good to see everybody.
Bye.
Let me know if you need the recording of the class, okay? Let me know. Just you see my email in chat? Just email me and I'll send it to you. All right, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.